Welcome to Living in the Miracle Zone. This is the place to be if you want to live in the flow of synchronicities and miracles in your everyday life. I'm your host, Marcy Shimoff. I'm a #1 New York Times bestselling author, a teacher in The Secret, and a creator of the worldwide program, Your Year of Miracles. And I have spent my life studying happiness and miracles. And in this podcast, we bring to you extraordinary miracle stories that will inspire you. And we also bring you groundbreaking miracle tools that will show you how you can live your most miraculous life. It's my heartfelt intention that we have a fabulous time together. So welcome to the Miracle Zone. And today I am so excited because I am joined by two people I adore, the very brilliant and talented Brothers Koren. And Thorald and Isaac Koren are on a mission to hear the world's song one voice at a time. So I'm going to tell you a little bit more about them in a minute, but welcome Isaac and Thorald.
Marcy, thank you so much, sister. It's always such a pleasure to be with you.
And love getting to be with you guys.
Thank you.
So, you both, you've had each of you over 20 years of experience recording and teaching and empowering people and touring the world as the Kin and as the Brothers Koren. And your work continues to grow and expand in the space of creative expression in life. And you lead people towards a more embodied life experience. I want to just let people know that as your musical careers as the Kin and the Brothers Koren, you've performed live on Conan, you earned a gold record, you performed to more than 1 million people while you toured with Coldplay and Pink and Rod Stewart and Bon Jovi, not small names in the world. And now your mission has really shifted to include many voices. You study the transformative effect of music on our well-being as humans. And I've gotten to experience the Brothers Koren, both of you, in such beautiful ways. You've coached me personally, and you've also come to my Year of Miracles retreats and been amazing in what you've delivered to our people. As a matter of fact, you created the song Living in the Miracle Zone that opens this podcast. That was created in 15 minutes in one of our Year of Miracles retreat programs. I'll talk about that in a little bit, but I just want you both to know that you open my heart every time I'm with you, and I'm so grateful to have you here.
Thank you so much, Marcy. What a joy it is, and every time we get to collaborate is a thrill for us too. So and amazing to be here on this podcast and to be with all of you listening, to be hopefully new brothers in a new relationship to your voice, which is right there for you to be with. So
well, and what you're all about helping people live more in the miracle zone through voice. And I want to go deeply into that with you. But first, I'd like to just hear from you guys about how it is you've come to live more miraculous lives. I mean, you've done some major things in your life. You've had the courage to make a major shift from your performing world to doing the work you're doing now. How do you live in the how has it been to live in the miracle zone for you?
Well, it came to me to share today that I think when I went from trying to be in control to trust, put it very simply, when I could stop letting thoughts or, ways of being get in the way and just trust that what is coming to me is right there, wanting to come to me. And it often is unexpected. So trust is a doing word.
Gosh, you're speaking my language. Yeah, I will definitely join with the word trust. To me, I think what really opened a miraculous life for me was to look inward, to turn inward. And this shows up in every facet of what voice is from when you wake up to when you go to sleep. So for me, I had in my earlier life looked outward. I'd looked to the world to reflect me back. and to let me, to see if I was liked, acknowledged, if I was making it, if all the pressure that I'd had from a young age to like become famous and make it, all those pressures, including all the mental illness I went through, was a lot about looking outward to see if I was safe, Marcy. And I was sort of, the underlying motivation for me earlier in my life was something's wrong with me. I've got to fix, and then I can live my best life. And what shifted for me, especially about 12 years ago, a couple of years before really we began our work in the world as Your Big Voice in the Brothers Koren, the way in which we guide and shepherd other voices, it was a shift to turn back home, to turn back inward, and to return into my body and ask of my own life intelligence. You almost said the word intelligence earlier, and I was like, actually that.
The creative intelligence.
Exactly.
Yes, that was beautiful.
And to me, when I looked back home inward, and I came back home and I said, I'm going to take a risk that I'm okay, number one, and I'm going to plant the seeds of what's possible from where I am, my now here, and I'm going to sound out what it feels like to be me and alive, and I'm going to drink in life, and I'm going to trust. And that was really the fertile ground that shifted it to a miraculous one. And what we get to see is every day, when someone comes back home to their voice, their life, miraculous things want to happen. The universe wants to organize behind you. So I would say that's what I've done. And I'm very much a student of it, no master, although I take in mastery and student, whatever's happening each day, I just show up to,
So we find that, the voice is one of those amazing magnetic qualities of the human instrument that calls the world or calls what is there for you towards you and gets you in what you beautifully call the miracle zone.
I really want to comment about what both of you said about what put you more in the miracle zone. Going outward for approval and for all of that is how we've all been trained. It's kind of a collective lie of how we're going to be fulfilled. So for people, I think we can all probably relate to that idea of looking outside for approval and needing to come home to ourselves. And that goes perfectly with the idea of trust, because it's about trusting life and trusting ourselves, trusting that we're enough, trusting that our voice is enough. So these are great what you've both just said. And what we want to dive into is, how do you get there? How do you get to trust and to going inside? And the vehicle you guys use is through the voice. So I want to understand, you say that the voice is the seat of our power. Why have so many of us been shut down and disempowered and inhibited in our voices? Let's look at why first, and then what can we do to heal that?
It's such a good question. Why? And, that there is what we call voice trauma is quite real. I mean, studies show that 1 in 4 of us really don't want to be heard public speaking, or at least, worse, singing. And a third of us were in this also global study reported not feeling creative at all, which, going back to what you said, that creative spark that's in all of us, that creative intelligence that's in all of us, it's just there. So, so why? I think, there's so many mechanisms, from inherited mechanisms to, the global lens that we live through. But all we know to be true is that most of the things, most of those things that inhibit us are false narratives and false beliefs about ourselves. Because science shows, we were just talking to John Stuart Reid, who's got a cymoscope that can see the physical imprint of a voice and sound. And he says that every voice has its own beautiful harmonic pattern that's beautiful, nature determined beauty, harmonics, which is overtones, and beautiful pattern that can be seen in many ways. And so, everyone's voice is unique and beautiful, and it's just our thoughts around.
It's in the voice of the beholder, right? Exactly. The eye of the beholder. And to add to this, Marcy, we see every day people with voice trauma, and we have a forthcoming book. Finally, we're in the midst of around particularly voice trauma and how we can rebuild a voice positive world, one that looks inward and helps usher each of us home back to the voice is a vehicle for not just our vitality, but for our life to emerge. And we are voice at all times. And what we've discovered is that pretty much everyone has a version of voice trauma. Very few people don't, where they've gone through little inhibition or little inhibitive moments where showing up in the world in their full expression got thwarted, muted, or abused in some way. And either by self-determination or adopting other people's voices, that the human being, as they grow up out of childhood, starts to disassociate from the instrument, the actual whole body instrument, we call it.
Or leave their body,
leave their
speak.
body.
Yeah.
And in that disassociation, we leave our inherent seat of power. Like you said, we leave our inherent value. And when someone starts to experience that disassociation, we start to have to look outside of ourselves and say, how should I be? Do I look good and sound good? Because if I don't, I might be in trouble.
It's that feeling of always being, self-aware. It's in that new Barbie movie where suddenly she's in the real world, so to speak, and she's like, I feel like I'm being watched and it's about me, right? And so suddenly she's being forced to be self-reflective and be outside of herself instead of in herself. Yeah.
And we're taught that. And the other part, Marcy, the other part of this voice trauma that we're seeing is that we've been taught almost as a virtue to disclaim ourselves. And we even mean like famous pop stars on stage kind of disclaiming themselves when they accept an award, because it's a learnt behavior to be voice negative, to
not take up too much space. Because often, when one of our small voices that we find around the voice is I'm too much. Mm-hmm. And so when I'm too much, I'm too big, I'm too myself, I'm too magnetic, I'm too in the miracle zone, right? I can be, I'm taking up space.
And also with I'm not good enough, like for instance, any one of those inhibitive moments are a disclaiming. So we look for approval or we look for reassurance. And so what we're seeing is why the voice got left is that we learnt by our fathers, mothers, brothers, sisters, teachers to disassociate and disclaim. And our journey home is to reclaim the inherent value and to come back home into the body and look inward and to fall back in love, even back in like, with the sound we're here to make. Yes. And when that happens, miraculous things fractally show up in all facets of someone's life.
And I so know this, that when we become fully aligned and expressive of who we are, of the truth of who we are, there's freedom, there's love, there's flow, there's what we call the miracle zone. And I'm sure you've worked with so many people. I'm sure you've seen amazing experiences of what happens when people open up their voice and their expression and how it impacts their life. Does any particular story come to mind that you'd like to share? And then we'll go into how do we do this?
I don't know why it's coming to me, but I remember this one person that said, I can't sing. And then she went and then suddenly with that being witnessed, she's like, I've never sung and I can't sing. And then within seconds, this voice came out of her. And then beginning to work with her on the songwriter's journey, within weeks, there were these whole songs being birthed from her. I don't know. I mean, it was a miracle to my eyes. And, without any musical training or anything, suddenly this music that was living inside of her, she was allowing to come. She wasn't controlling or stopping with that thought that I can't sing. And, I remember I couldn't sing either. I was an I can't singer. And, I heard a voice when I was 15 that I've told many times, but that voice just simply said, you will sing. And I didn't believe it. Or I just thought, oh, that was a strange experience. And 6 months later, my best friend, Yaniv, said, sing for me, Zach, at this party he was playing. And I just started singing, and found my voice quite literally the same way as this woman in front of us. And so there was this incredible witnessing of a miracle voice, in her. And so that was one miracle that comes to mind when you ask. But there's been
did that
many.
did that shift how she felt in the rest of her life as well? Because
Yes.
my theory is that if you free up the voice and your expression, then it frees you up in all areas of your life.
Immensely.
There's too many examples to even share. It gets me so excited. Some of the examples are our friends. You know, we've had the pleasure of helping leaders integrate their voice and quite literally music when they thought they couldn't, and just to see their leadership grow. But I'd love to just take sort of a simple one. There's this an Indian woman we got to work with, an Indian American woman, and when she first spoke to me, it was just on the phone. And she finally said, okay, I'm going to do the songwriter's journey, which is sort of our flagship 6-month experience where we use music and song as medium or vehicle for the voice. It's not really to help someone become a songwriter as much as it is, but it also is just for a human being to know thyself in the creative reflective mirror of song. And when she first talked, she was very shaky and on the phone. And then when she first came on camera, she would only show, and I don't even know if she was conscious, Marcy, but she would only show her eyes. And then as the program went on, she'd show a little bit more, a little bit more, a little bit more. And it wasn't that long ago. She's part of our kind of greater membership now. And she is fully in the camera. She's got some new lights, a new camera, and she's smiling and she's like encouraging others. And she's fully in her life.
Yeah.
And she knows that reclaiming her voice, which was for her kind of cultural as well in her experience growing up, that she'd gotten inhibited and shut off. She was told she can't be in her presence and power in her voice.
Around men particularly.
Around men.
Yeah.
And watching her over the course of about 1.5 years, just without question, you don't even need to ask her how it's shown up in her life, but she's just sort of spilling it.
And I don't think she'd mind us saying that she wrote a badass hip hop track that is just, when we heard what she really wanted to sing, we were just excited and floored.
Yeah, it's like she got to live out this passion that had been so shut down in her. And when that came to the surface, so did her vitality, right? So did, and you look at what John Stuart Reid would say, you know, all of this biochemistry, all of this biology gets stimulated, the red blood cells, the infrared light that our voices create, basically our wellness comes to the forefront.
Yeah. Beautiful. Amazing. So what do?
Yeah.
Tell us a few things that we can do so that we can free ourselves and be more in the flow. And
Wonderful.
Well, I'd say start by recognizing that any negative thought that you might have about your voice is not true. And that includes any aspect of it, including your connection to your infinite creative intelligence, as you put it, that it's always there for you. And so any negative thought that you have or belief is just cobwebs in the way, perhaps, of you allowing the flow, the miracle zone to exist in your voice. So I would say that's number one.
Yeah. I'll answer number two by inviting you real time to experience it. Everyone listening, if you wish, and if it's safe enough, we invite you to close your eyes. And if you can't close your eyes, we invite you to just allow your eyes to be rewired back to senses that drink in the experience around you. And without needing to fix or change or adjust a single thing, can you meet your voice as it is today? And even if there's sadness or shame, or it's not once like it once was or could be, can you just allow yourself to show up to the voice as it is? And can you sink back into your body, softening shoulders and allowing yourself to lean back on that beautiful human scale of your spine? Notice that it has you. And can you let yourself be had? And can you start to sink down into your pelvis again? This incredible inherent seat of power that nature gave you to occupy, to find that sovereignty. Can you feel that presence, that natural electromagnetic gravity of your pelvis? And on top of that, can you feel this beautiful expanse and contraction of your belly? Can you allow your belly to just let go and be fat and happy? Can you allow it to fill up? And then can you follow your belly button to spine like Isaac just did? And just fall back in love with the exertion of breath and surf that electric life intelligence again. Can you let it fill you up? Can you let it fall away? And as you allow yourself to do that, can you just wrap your arms around any part of you that's been not supportive, any unsupportive feeling, thought, sensation. It's okay. We all have them. Can you be that beautiful parent again? And as you're now home, we just invite you to send your voice up to the front of your lips. And before you even make a sound, can you, with your imagination, can you direct sound to your lips and imagine your favorite meal? What was it growing up? What was that comfort food that just made you feel cozy and loved and met? Can you meet that flavor in the front of your lips? Any note, don't worry about how it sounds, just taste it. Adding voice to that memory. Inhale. One more time. Can you believe in that sound that only you can make? Let's do one more.
And we're just holding out here our speaking tone and riding it to the edge like a surfer, running out of air and then letting the air flow all the way down to our belly, filling up that belly like a balloon.
And notice the more you do this, the more your resonance builds in your mouth, healing your body, allowing your body to do the healing it's designed to do. We'll finish with one more here.
And just take a moment just in silence just to feel how your body feels just from that small moment of vocalizing. Sound stimulates us, gives us energy, but also relaxes us. And it's a beautiful combination.
I feel yummy. You know, there's a yumminess from that. Yum. Thank
and
you.
you sound
That
amazing.
was beautiful. That was really, really wonderful. So,
Marcy, before we go on, I just want to acknowledge you, because I really, in some of the private voice work we've had the pleasure of doing, I really feel your resonance. Like it's like I really feel the widening and the emergence of your voice in the years that we've gotten the pleasure to know you. I just want to acknowledge that. It's beautiful.
Thank you. And you two have just been such beautiful stewards, masters, brothers of helping that open up more. And I look forward to more of that with you. And this is, you know, I didn't mention this, but we have some dear friends who were Broadway stars of the stars of the stars. I mean, you know, think of the biggest Broadway shows, and they were the leads. And they work with you too, the Brothers Koren, and just say how much your work has really brought them to a whole nother level. And I appreciate working with you to help bring me to a greater level of authenticity in using my voice just in speaking. And I want to tell everybody about the experience that we've had with you when you've come to our Inner Circle retreats. You have come inviting everybody to create a song together, and people offer suggestions of phrases and words and things. And within 15 minutes, you take those and you take their ideas for notes and sounds and all of that. Within 15 minutes, you take them and create the most amazing songs. We've seen that happen now 2 times in a row, and we're looking forward to our third. And out of it came this song, Living in the Miracle Zone, that starts and ends this podcast. And I want to understand how you put yourself in the zone so clearly that you're able to have that song come through you. With, of course, everybody's ideas in the room, but it's magic. I mean, truly magic is created when that song is created. It feels like, wow, we've been in the divine flow of creative energy coming through. So how do you do that? And how can we put ourselves in that flow more?
Not to toot the horn again, but to harken back to trust and control. Like if we came at it with controlling and making sure that everyone had to say something, you know, or controlling who, pointing, choosing.
Controlling that it has to be a good song.
Because everyone's afraid and uncomfortable. So we know that. And if we trust that even in that environment that if we're in the moment with people coming from our heart and trusting that they won't put up their hand if it's not perfect timing for them, right? Trusting that you'll be there to capture it, that idea, and sculpt it in the moment, and like add to it, hearken it, become sympathetic to it, and then bring it into musicality, on the spot, trusting that we'll have each other, trusting that the microphone will work, trusting that even though it might take 5 minutes of uncomfortability and no one wants to say anything or include the voice, because it's happened before in high, awkward moments, trusting ourselves through that too.
And maybe even trusting that it might fall on its
might
face.
not work. Yeah.
And even that's okay.
Yeah. Thank you.
To add to what Isaac's saying of trust, which, what trust saved my life, quite literally. It's how I came through critical mental illness in my early life, Marcy. So I can't really beat that. But what I can do is add to the conditions that we set and the ways of being, which I think is the biggest, because the world, and we all know this, anyone that's listening, we've all been under the pressure of presentation, performance, comparison, competition. And what it's done is it's reversed the creative process that nature intended often. It's created a narrow keyhole where we're trying to be excellent through a small space. And so what it does is it creates an inhibitive, fearful environment. But what occurs when we flip it back around and we set new ways of being is that kindergartner, that playful, messy part of the human experience gets to come back to the surface. And so we set ways of being, which you probably remember, and these are meant to be first given to yourself and then shared with others, that order. So not the Mother Teresa way, which is to give to everyone else and then yourself last. It's not that role. It's not the savior role. It's actually honoring self. I am and I happen to share.
It's not self-sacrifice.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And so
self-giving.
What we see is generosity. Can you first be generous to yourself? And here's how you do it. Find one thing you like or even love about the sound or idea coming to you. Curiosity. Now you have an idea. You go, oh, that's cool. And what if or someone has an idea and you yes and them. You're not criticizing or discerning. You're
yes and yourself too.
Exactly. Willingness, willing to be brilliant or willing to fall.
Which is the key to step back from control, right? Willfulness, willingness, and that can be a practical step.
So let's just go to these. The first one was generosity with yourself. Yeah. Mm-hmm. To just be looking at what it is that you like about yourself or about your voice or about what your thoughts are. Okay.
Yeah.
The second one is curiosity. Is that right?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
And being curious about what? About what's next,
and what others are doing,
and what occurs
in the room, what occurs in the collaboration or the moment you're in with another or just yourself. Yeah. Then
Great.
Willingness is about a softness. It's about softening and trusting nature's going to lead you, right? Awe is the next one, Marcy, which to us is the state of being in active gratitude. Finding one thing at all times you're thankful for.
Or in wonder.
In wonder of the wowness. And that doesn't mean we aren't built to look at what's not working. But what we believe is that we can also choose to let the dirt be and focus on the gold we're discovering. Right?
It's like, imagine you were panning for gold. You're expecting the dirt. You're not even thinking about the dirt. You're only focused on the gold. And so that's the kind of the kindergartner panning for gold is the way we kind of put this creative process.
And what a great analogy,
I know, it is.
Yeah, it's beautiful.
We believe it's what life really wanted for us, to focus on what is that we like and love, and that it's a breadcrumb trail to the miracle zone for sure. It's the breadcrumb trail to having the encouragement to allow the universe to organize behind you. And last but not least, Marcy, is daring. And daring to us, we call it daring to suck, which is actually just as much about daring to be great. And Isaac likes to say sucks and greatness are very close together. And in order to be great, we have to risk sucking. And in order to fall occasionally, we have to expect it. We can't always find our brilliance.
It turns out it's a Seinfeld quip also, but it's true. There's a truism to it, because all of our favorite songs that we've ever written, we weren't expecting them. We didn't set out to write them. We didn't schedule it, and so we find that to be true in our life. And
practically speaking, for everyone listening, daring to suck is to allow that next thing bubbling up, a sound you want to make or an idea that's coming to you, to come out of your mouth and to be felt, to be shared, with no attachment to the result that produces, which is the second part of daring to suck. It's a risk.
And that doesn't mean indifference.
No.
Because if you're curious and in awe and generous, then whatever comes out, if you're in those ways of being, is going to be, full of potential gold, perhaps in the future. So we tend to voice note ourselves or write things down, wake up in the middle of the night with an idea for a new business or something. And the curious and the generous in you gets up and puts it on a Post-it note.
Yeah, the daring shares it.
Yeah, those are beautiful. I just love all 5 of those qualities. I think that those really, they're for what you do with the voice, they're for what we do in life to live in the miracle zone. Those are just awesome. And I love getting to spend any time I get to spend with you guys. And you are doing something coming up soon, the Embodied Voice Summit, that I get to be a part of. I'm so happy and excited about that. Tell us a little bit about it.
Thank you, Marcy. Well, we are doing our first ever Embodied Voice Summit. We felt it was time to wrap our arms around an incredibly large new arena, which is we all have voice, and there's never been a time like now to recognize how important it is, and how important it is to build voice positive culture, and how important the voice is for healing and for manifestation. And we wanted to put on a summit and bring together luminaries and friends and allies and leaders, all that have relevancy and leadership in how voice is our vehicle for change and connectivity and power in our own lives in the world. So we wanted to put on a summit. It's September 9th, coming out really soon, and it's free, and you're involved, and there's all these incredible leaders joining us. There's a 2-hour live event and a multitude of a voice video library that everyone gets access to for free. So please click the link that you send everyone, and we can't wait to see you there, and we really appreciate you sharing it.
Yes, and you can also find out more about that and about the Brothers Koren at the Brothers Koren, KOREN.com. And what you two are doing in the world is unique, powerful, important. Imagine everyone living their true voice, expressing their authentic self without any kind of restriction, and just free and with fullness and love. That, I believe, is the intention for all of us, and what a world it would be with that. And I think that's what you two are about. Are there any last words you want to share with us on this?
Thank you. Well, I just wanted to say that the way to get to the Embodied Voice Summit is that embodiedvoicesummit.com. I just remembered. Yes. I just wanted to make an invitation, and I'll pass it to Isaac. If voice has been calling you and you have put it to the wayside, or if you got inhibited at a young age and bought into the belief that you didn't sing, or you didn't speak, or you didn't raise up and lead others, and your expression and creativity is in there somewhere under your ribcage, and it's wanting to come out, just do it. Make a mess. See what occurs. And if you'd love brothers to do that with, we're here. And it's actually meant for you. It's not just meant for the Broadway star. It's meant for you. And we get to spend the predominant amount of our time working with people that had ruled themselves out. And we mean at any age, any woman, any man from any country, we've helped disprove that and put back into the driver's seat their value and inherent expression. And so if it's calling you, it is for you.
So well said. And I want to just shower you with love, Marcy, and I'll save that for another time. But I've just always learned so much in your presence. So thank you. The last thing I want to say to everyone is that this above and beyond everything is an opportunity to access your joy, your playfulness, even your wildness again. And what better way to do it than to reawaken the voice in you? So please join us and Marcy and everyone. We're so excited and grateful. Thank you for this.
I am so grateful to get to be with you guys today and with you in the upcoming Embodied Voice Summit and with you ongoingly. And I just want to say your work has changed my life. It has impacted so many people around me that I know. And you are rock stars in the best way. And I love you both. I'm going to share a quote from the Brothers Koren, who said, "Magic occurs when you let go of control. It's better to share an idea that's almost ready rather than wait until it's perfect." And that is more wisdom from both of you. And there's so much more that we could do together, and I want to have you back so we can do more. And I want to thank everyone here for listening today. I hope that you are feeling inspired and uplifted, and certainly more in the miracle zone after our time together. And if you enjoyed this episode, we really appreciate your 5-star ratings and your reviews. And of course, share the Miracle Zone love with your friends and your family. And if you want to live more in the Miracle Zone, you can also take our free 2-minute quiz to find out what your miracle superpower is. You just go to miraclequiz.com. And remember, your life of miracles is waiting for you. It is your birthright. And may we all live together in the Miracle Zone. Thank you for joining.